Well, it's finally time to start the bodywork. I can't put it off any longer. So today, we'll probably start off with some sanding. After that, we might do some sanding, and we'll probably finish it up with some sanding. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. What's going on, guys? Brian back with Block Garage, and as usual, we're working on the 280Z. So, for everybody who doesn't know, this is my 1978 Datsun 280Z. Picked it up about a year and a half ago. We have done a ton of work. This thing was completely rusted out, no floors. Most of the panels had rust. We replaced a ton of stuff. We started the 2JZ swap, took it back out, decided we're painting the car, and that's where we're at now. So as you can see, we've got basically everything mocked up. The panels all aligned, which I have spent so much time getting these panels aligned. It is insane how much time I've spent getting these aligned, because there's no point in doing the body work, spreading Bondo, sanding it off, getting everything lined up perfectly without the panel gaps right. So I have spent a ton of time getting these lined up as good as I could. They are not perfect still, because this is a 47-ish year old car. The gaps are not perfect, the panels are not perfect, but they are good enough that I'm happy with them. So today, we need to get started on the bodywork, like I mentioned. That means we'll be doing a lot of hammering out any small dings and dents that we can find, filling what we can't knock out, and doing a ton of sanding to get this thing smoothed out. I don't know how this video is going to go. We're just going to wing it and see what happens. But let's jump right in. I don't know where we're going to start. Let's figure something out. Now, before we get going, one thing I want to mention is I have very, very little experience doing bodywork. I've mentioned it in previous videos, but as far as, body filler and stuff, I have technically done it, but I have not done very much. So this is definitely going to be a learning process. I've done a bunch of research. We should be good to go, but I will be learning as we go. So I'm not just going to slap a whole bunch of body filler on everything, get this stuff back up to a 1/4 inch thick like it was before we took it off, because if you didn't see the video where we stripped everything off, some of these panels had legitimately a 1/4 inch of Bondo on them. We are not doing that. I'm trying to do as minimal as possible to get a good enough effect, even if it doesn't end up perfect. So we're going to do the best I can, trying to do a minimal amount of body work, because I don't want a ton of Bondo on this thing. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it where it's necessary. I'm not going to skim coat everything. At least that's not the plan right now. So we need to keep our expectations tempered. This is not going to be a show quality paint job. And don't forget, I am painting this thing right here in this garage. Again, I have never done a paint job before. This epoxy primer that's on here, first time I've ever used an HVLP gun. So we're going to see how that goes. Keep your expectations, I wouldn't say low, but keep them realistic. I'm going to do the best I can without spending years trying to get this thing perfect. All right, so here's a bunch of the supplies that I got. I picked up a bunch of stuff a while back. We got some good Evercoat filler. I got some metal reinforced filler for where we're doing the joints around the roof. I got some glaze or some putty to fill in any pinholes that we get in the Bondo, because I'm sure I'll have some from little air bubbles. I picked up some fiberglass repair stuff because, I'll show you just a second here. I got the front air dam off, and that is because these edges here, where I've been messing around trying to get it mounted, they've started to crack. I've got some holes that ended up being way too big because I drilled and moved it around after I had it in place. So I took some of that fiberglass mat and some resin, and I've already reinforced all of the mounting points along here. I got one layer on there. It's already hard. It says you got to wait 6 hours before you can sand it or do anything with it, which actually I don't have to sand it, so I don't need to worry about that. But anyways, so that's why the front air dam is off. I'll leave it off for now. Tomorrow we'll probably trim the edges off and put it back on there just to see if it's still fitting good. I'll have to re-drill the holes, but again, not a big deal. So that's why I got some of this stuff. I did get some fiberglass reinforced fillers for using on the bumper or on or the air dam or on any of the other fiberglass stuff in case I needed to do some small repairs that don't require the fiberglass mat. We got a ton of sandpaper, 80 grit, all the way up to whatever we finished with, which I don't even remember what it is now. Yeah, I got some 80. This is 80. I think that's 120. What else we got here? Yeah, we got 240, 320, 400, and 600. I don't know if I'll end up needing some more than that or some higher than that when we get to most likely having to wet sand the car. We'll see. I got some other random stuff over here. I got my DA. bunch of sanding blocks. So we should be good to go. I have been messing around underneath the hood today. I just wanted to do some practice, work on that. My dad was here. He was helping out. So I did some stuff under the hood. Actually, let me show you. Get this open here. So we got some small areas finished. I'm not done. I still got to clean up over here. I got another layer on there that's drying right now. But those were areas where I had taken some of the brackets off that I don't need to mount some of the OEM stuff. I think like the evap canister or something was mounted over here. I can't remember at this point. But stuff I didn't need. So we just got to, we're welded up where the plug welds were. Wasn't perfectly smooth, so we got to smooth that out. And really the main reason I had him come up today was finalizing, doing a little more adjusting on the panel gaps on the front. I wasn't having much luck getting it perfect, which it's a lot better now. We ended up having to move this side of the hood back to get it. It wasn't quite square there, which pulled it over here, put it too close here. So we did some adjusting, moving these out, basically where everything is mounted on the car. Just tweaked it out just a little bit in on this side, and it fits perfect. My gap up here is way closer. This was offset probably a good 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little more back. And now we've got it almost perfect, enough that we can make it work. So it's time to start on actually doing body work on the car, which actually technically I've started now. I filled in the wrong hole that I made on both sides of the fenders for the fender mirrors, and I already threw some on there I had some extra when I was doing under the hood. So but real quick, I think I'm going to take the wheels back off. I don't need them on there now. I don't need to worry about scratching them or something like that. There's 0 point in having them out here. I did get these covers to throw on them when we're working on the car, and they work really well, but why take the risk? I'm going to throw the steel wheels back on, and then, yeah, let's just start on some body work. I am really good at mixing up way more than I need, so this time I did less than I think I need. We'll see what happens. And I just randomly guess on how much hardener I need, because I really don't care. Let's mix it up and try not to get a bunch of air bubbles in it. Now, I have been watching Kevin Tate's YouTube channel quite often recently, just to pick up some bodywork tips, and I hope it helps. One thing I saw he does is spread this stuff right out, try to get any air bubbles out that you can. But we have that glazed putty anyway that we can use after, but the less we have to use, the better. And I got a few areas all cleaned up. I already scuffed them up with some Scotch-Brite and cleaned them up with the wax and grease remover. So we're good to just spread a thin coat on. And I'm sure, as usual with this too, I'll put on way more than I need and have to sand off for an hour. But I'll see what I can do. And this fender over here is quite wavy in spots. It's going to take quite a bit to get this straight, but I don't want to skim coat the whole thing if I can help it. Man, I am not good at this. I'll grab a new one. Over there. starting to harden up. That's about all I can do because it is starting to harden up. Oh, I'm sure there's a bunch I missed, and we waste a bunch, but whatever. All right, I got a question for you guys. For those of you who know Bodywork, something I just ran into when I was applying that, where I got this seam right here, I need to straighten up both sides of the joint because it's wavy, not very straight, and I need to get it closer between them so they're nice and level. So would I want to just skim over the whole thing right over the joint, sand it down, and then cut my edge, cut the joint apart and sand down the edges like that? Would it be better to take this off, do that one on its own until we're close, and then do that? I don't know. This is stuff I don't know about. So, I could have got right there. This is just the initial. Anyway, we're gonna have to throw a guide coat on. We'll start seeing once we start sanding this how straight some of this is. But like most of this hood, I don't need to touch, so I'm not going to. I'll look and see if there's any small dings that need to come out, but I don't think there really is, other than here and this dent here. So, even if it's not 100% show quality perfect on the rest of the hood, I probably won't really touch it other than just, obviously we're going to have to sand it down to 400 or I can't remember, 400 grit I think, before we lay our primer on. And if we see any huge dings at that point, I'll take care of it. So up here also, I did this because, well, this is exposed, at least this edge. And when we repaired the roof, did the roof skin, I had to replace this piece right here. So I got a weld joint right there. So I got that smoothed out. Didn't do here because that's going to get the metal body filler. And we might do that next just to mess around. So if you guys can see, I got most of the little dents out, but right there and there we need a little more filler. And it is really hard to see where that body line is once you get going. So, yeah, this is going to take some time to learn to do this right. So even though this looks pretty straight when you look at it, I mean, I'm hitting here and back here, and I'm not even touching right here. So we definitely got some filler to put in. And I think that works well. I think what I'm going to do going forward is just go right over it, and we'll trim it with a utility knife maybe, and then take it apart and sand the edges. I think that would be the best thing. Well, I never thought I'd say this, but this is actually kind of fun. It's pretty satisfying getting that smoothed out. But I'm about done for today. Let's reconvene tomorrow. Well, I already found one potential mistake. So I was doing some more research last night, watching some more YouTube videos on bodywork stuff just to get some more tips. And I found one thing that apparently I did wrong. So with epoxy primer, apparently it is a very, very good base to build your body filler off. However, according to what I saw, it kind of bonds to the bodywork itself chemically, not just mechanically, because with the body filler, all it's holding it on there is where it adheres with your scratches. But that only applies for the first 5 to 7-ish days, depending on manufacturer, what you look at. So before I started this, I scuffed it up with a red Scotch-Brite pad, and apparently that is not enough. So Scotch-Brite is, the red Scotch-Brite is apparently around 400 grit, something like that, around that. And you really need to be 80 to 120 grit to hold the body filler on. That's the recommended. I don't want to have an issue with this. And since I've just started and really have not done that much, I'm going to clean all that back off and we're going to start again. So I get to go do that. I'd much rather have learned now, right? Obviously, than when we get done and potentially body filler starts falling off. It wouldn't probably be too bad out here, but the engine bay is going to kind of suck. I mean, this is going to be easy to clean up, but I've got quite a bit more on the engine bay. But again, I'd rather do it now than potentially have a failure in the future. So I'm going to clean it up. All right, I've got some pretty good progress made. We got this all completely stripped back down, filled back in. It's even better than it was before. I believe I'm done with that. I got to get some guide coat to put on there. I did try a little rattle can primer as guide coat. It works okay, but I'm getting some of that actual powder guide coat coming, and then we'll try that. And it's just at 80 grit right now. We'll go to 120 next. So I also redid both of the holes where we welded in that other hole for the fender mirror. I redid both sides on this. I'm not quite done over here. I'm almost happy with it, at least at this point, until I see how terrible it looks with, again, the guide coat on it. Same as on the other side. Redid my A-pillars here. But now I want to do something a little different to end out the video. So we got to do right here at the front of the roof, at the rear of the roof. Both of those spots from the factory had lead filler, not using lead filler. So I picked up some of this, if I can find it. Yeah, right there. Metal reinforced filler. It's got aluminum. And what I've seen, did a bunch of research, and this is what you should be using now instead of lead filler, unless you want to stick with lead filler. So that's what we're going to do. It should be the same process. It's all just body filler. But that, I guess, is stronger. It gives a little bit of flex also, supposedly. So we should be good here, too, because we're way stiffer than we were from the factory. But I still want to put something more appropriate in there besides just regular body filler. So I prepped it already. Got it, just scuffed up with some 80 grit. And let's apply some on there and see how it works. Hoping it's not going to be a ton harder to sand, but it does have metal in it, so let's see what happens. It says 12 drops of hardener to a golf ball size amount of filler. Let's see what happens. That's definitely different looking. You can see the metal flex in it. Yeah, that's approximately golf ball size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not as easy to see if you're mixed as regular body filler because it doesn't change color. We'll just work it for a while until we think it's all worked in. We don't want to overwork it either and then have it dry on us. Alright, that's going to be good. Let's go put it on the cart. Really squish it down in there to get in that welding crack. Alright, let's see how that does for the first coat. We want it thin, I do know that. Alright, let's see what it does. I'm definitely going to need more over here, but like I said, we just wanted to start with a thin coat.
Yeah, seems pretty good. It doesn't feel like it's quite set up, which is odd. I don't want to take any more off than that because it's going to get too low. We definitely got some work to do there. It's going to have to be smoothed out pretty good here. Feathered out. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I didn't get quite enough hardener in it. I'm going to let this sit up even longer, see what happens.
All right, I'm gonna end it off there. I'm about done with the body work for today. So we got a decent amount done. The front end is looking really nice, and this is where we had quite a bit of discrepancy. These wouldn't match up perfectly, and going across it like that works. Hopefully, when I pull it apart and I shape the edges, it still looks good. I don't know why it wouldn't, but we'll see. That stuff sanded off nice and easy, which I was a little worried about, but I'm thinking I didn't quite get enough hardener in it because it's been probably 20-25 minutes, and it says 10 to 15 minutes to set up. So we'll see what that looks like when I come back out here next weekend. Other side's the same way. I didn't show you guys the front bumper after yesterday. So as you can see, I got a bunch of resin on here, fiberglass and resin, to give that a little more support and fill those holes back in. I'm going to fill this side in with some short strand fiberglass filler, and smooth it out, and then we'll start over with drilling our holes when we get it back in. Same thing here. Now I had a crack right there and a crack in the gel coat right there, so I'm going to do the same thing with the filler. But yeah, I mean, it still needs to be trimmed up around the edges. I just quickly cut off the edges right there. That seems like it'll work pretty good. Now, I do need some help. So my hatch is worse than I thought. I mentioned a couple videos ago. It's hard to see right now because it's covered in dust. But when I pulled the Bondo off this thing, and there was quite a bit, like on a lot of the rest of the car, this thing is not even close to smooth. So I don't know if you guys will be able to pick it up on camera. But like right here, there's a big old dip. There's another one right there, here. There's another one over here. And I've tried, I didn't try too much with the rest of it, but I tried right here getting this up. And no matter what I do, it does not stay up. I don't really want to fill that in. It'd be a good, at least 1/8 of an inch of Bondo there. I'd rather not do that, especially because, well, it won't be as bad because the spoiler's going to be on it, and so you won't be pushing right here. But still, this is going to open and close. You will be pushing on this to close it, obviously. So there's a chance for it flexing and breaking, which I don't want to have happen, which is part of why I added the supports in the middle or underneath. You can see I added all these supports to keep it from flexing as much, so that should help. And I mentioned it before, but I don't think that adding those is what warped it, because I didn't put much heat at all to this. I've done plenty of other metal work on this car and not had a ton of warpage. I've had some, obviously, but not like this. And before I pulled the Bondo off, it was still straight, so I think it was already warped underneath, and they just covered it in Bondo. I don't know how you get it that warped, but I think that's the case. So, and I know it was breaking around this right here, which this is all nice and solid now. But when you go to open it, you'll be pushing right there, and over the years it cracked all the Bondo around here. So anybody can tell me exactly what I need to do to get that raised back up, short of obviously replacing the hatch. Let me know. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's nothing I've dealt with so far. So anybody can tell me how to do that. I would greatly appreciate it. But that's going to about do it for this one. Oh, one other thing. I'm not sure how long I can leave this with the bare metal on it now, because obviously I don't want it to flash rust, right? So should I reprime it every day? Wouldn't be a huge deal to just throw a coat of epoxy primer on. But if it's unnecessary, it's just wasted product. I don't know. I think I'm going to try leaving it for now, see what happens. Let me know, like I said before, any bodywork tips. I would greatly appreciate it. I've been doing my research, though, so I think we got a good first step. hopefully I can get some people up here to help me. It would greatly improve the speed of the bodywork process. So anyways, yeah, end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anything you would like to see as far as bodywork goes, because this is going to be very, very repetitive. If I keep doing, you know, every weekend that I'm out here doing bodywork, it's just the same thing literally over and over and over and over again. So I might do some updates, but if there's anything specific that you guys would like to see, let me know. And yeah, that's about does it. So hopefully I see you guys in the next video.